Mini episode 1713 of the FDH Lounge is brought to you by Sportsology, delivering unconventional columns and webcasts about sports, TV, music, movies, and more. Follow them on the web at sportsology.com.
The FDH Lounge. You'll want to schedule your life around it.
A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to FDH Lounge Mini Episode 1713. This is FDH Managing Partner Rick Morris coming at you. And we have with us here today one of our favorite dignitaries in the FDH Lounge. He is, of course, a writer for OurSportsCentral.com. We've been having him on for many years to talk about all things football. He is Fran Stuchbury, and we are talking today about the college football coaching carousel after the 2023 NCAA football season going into 2024, and a number of huge, in some cases, landscape-changing transactions that have gone on. Some of the landscape-changing transactions just with a program, changing the trajectory of it. Some of it changing the wider landscape of college football. We're going to get into all that and much, much more developments in college football in the early off-season. Fran Stuchbury. Fran, welcome to the show. Great to have you back on, my friend.
Happy to have you back on. I think we're doing more college football shows than ever. We did a bowl game review, a bowl game recap. The first time no podcast does that the way we do it, Rick. But in general, now we're doing another segment, which is going to entertain the fans and inform fans on some things they may not know.
Yeah, and there are going to be, I'm sure, there are going to be some things that I don't know that you're going to inform me of, and all of our listeners as well, so I look forward to that. And I have with me here a list of the transactions that have happened. Now, they do not appear to be in chronological order, because one of these ones I'm looking at here toward the bottom of the list is one of the later ones, but we're just going to shoot through this. Not all of these were substantial in the larger landscape programs, but that is basically the truth here. Like I'm going to start with here, the lose John Summerall to Tulane, and they pick up Gerard Parker from Notre Dame, the defensive coordinator.
That guy. Tulane. That's a good job because a good job where you can get into the college football playoff, right? Because one of those teams is going to get in that conference. So Tulane's one of those teams, the highest team is going to get in that conference. They have a chance to. They were on the edge last year, and they lost that game. Otherwise, you don't have a massacre Liberty game against Oregon, and Tulane would have kept the game a lot closer. Yes,
they would have. It wouldn't have been the same outcome. The one that I'm referring to that is more recent, although it's at the bottom of this list here, UCLA, who just found out recently they're going to need a new head coach because they lost head coach to become an offensive coordinator at a conference, or at a school in the same conference. How embarrassing. Chip Kelly goes to Ohio State to be the OC, and Deshaun Foster, the Las Vegas Raiders running back coach, who no doubt was at that point in time anyways because the Raiders were in a situation, albeit they ended up retaining
the other thing
the one
was,
they had.
Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Deshaun Foster a UCLA player?
He was.
Well, the thing is, let's get a little logic here. You have a team, a coach reeling, Chip Kelly leaves. A coach walks with millions of dollars to be an assistant coach, and then your team is reeling, and you need familiarity, and you need stability, and you don't want to be humiliated with an outsider. This is what you do. You get a guy from UCLA who's built a team who was popular with fans and maybe the boosters, but in general, you need to have somebody with those ties, otherwise you wouldn't be screwed. And we've seen that happen in a big market. When some big guy wants the San Diego Chargers. We'll discuss that later.
Yeah, exactly. So how this guy is going to do with recruiting and everything like that, we shall see, because it's of the
in that conference, they're going to be bad. Let's just say they'll be lucky to get 6-7 wins and go to bowl games. That conference is tough. And that weather. And we don't even know what type of offense they're going to run. Come on, it's not. I think they're going to be so much worse off than USC, and that rivalry, USC is going to dominate.
Yeah, I think they're going to be basically Minnesota or Nebraska West. By the way, Minnesota, we'll get to them on another note in a little bit here. But a former Minnesota coach, Jerry Kill, he stepped down at New Mexico State, and the incoming coach is Tony Sanchez, who was promoted from being the wide receiver coach. So,
the thing about Tony Sanchez is, he was a UNLV coach, and he got that place a little bit resurrected. I think he was a UNLV coach. His team was in the gutter, and they got a little bit better, and then he got to go to New Mexico. New Mexico State's an amazing program. They were on the edge of doing nothing. They got their first bowl game in 50 years. They won the game. The fans stormed the court. That's a movie made for itself. But New Mexico State, they're in a conference now. They get a chance to go to bowl games. Conference USA is a little bit on the rise because Rick, another team's going to be coming there soon. The Delaware Blue Hens. That'll be fun to see how FCS. The thing is, hopefully they don't have the problems to get into bowl games like the other teams that happened. That had to get waivers because there weren't enough spots. Yep.
That's right. And more about that in a little bit. The Grambling State Tigers, they fired Hugh Jackson. Gee, as a longtime North Coast of America resident, who knew that Hugh Jackson, who helped run the Browns into the ground, not that they weren't already there, but he ran them into a deeper hole. Who knew that he couldn't coach even at Grambling State? But Mickey Joseph comes in. He was the interim head coach at Nebraska in 2022. He takes over Grambling State. And so, again, the entire thankless job of following Hugh Jackson after something has been smoking ruins. Good luck to you.
But Rick, as far as Grambling, they used to be such a great program. Eddie Robson, then they had Doug Williams. They had such a great program.
Yes.
And then they bombed. And I think they had some allegation on some violation. The thing is, the team just was such a legendary program, and they've done nothing, and they can't get in those games, and they want to get back to that level. And I don't know if they will. Maybe if they had Deion Sanders for you, get a cup of coffee and then they're gonna run to a better job. But in general, it'd be nice to see Grambling rise back on top. I don't know if this is gonna be the coach, but I don't think so because there's better teams in that conference, way better than Grambling. We'll see.
I agree with you because, again, Eddie Robinson, there's something just wrong about seeing that program sucking. Like, that should not be the case. And hopefully this new guy can get it turned around. I don't know a whole heck of a lot about him, to be honest. Hopefully he can get it done. Tulane, we talked about this before. They pluck away John Summerall from Troy. And Willie Fritz leaves to go to Houston. We'll talk about that subsequently here. But on paper, it seems like you lose a real good coach, but you get another one coming in.
One thing is, you get a quality coach coming in. That works with the guy from Troy. And as far as Fritz, he did his job. He got them relevant. He got to that bowl game, and they beat USC. Come on, Rick. The game meant nothing for USC, but that meant everything for Tulane. That's where, when we do bowl picks and we do our bowl preview show, I try to pick motivation, but here's the problem, Rick, with the situation. Motivation is tough, but we don't know the NIL stuff in the transfer portal. That goes out the toilet if the players are on the team. So hopefully, we'll discuss that later. Hopefully, me and you can figure out the master plan to make all bowl games meaningful. But good move for him. Moved up to a better conference. More money, and plus the fact they'll be a good team. I can see him like a 9-10 win team. He has the talent, the offense, and the recruiting. They'll do fine in the Big 12 because there's not that much competition with Oklahoma and Texas leaving.
Yeah, and this is one of these things where when you're at Tulane, you're not going to lose that many players going into a bowl game anyways. You're just not. So you're going to be more at 100% as opposed to the big boys. The Nevada Wolfpack, they fired Ken Wilson. They bring in Jeff Choate, the Texas co-defensive coordinator, to be their new head coach. As
far as that's done, Rick, that bowl performance against Washington, no comment. I don't know if he was playing that game, but if he was, then good luck getting that defense in order.
Yeah, that's true. The Duke Blue Devils, they bring in Manny Diaz, the Penn State defensive coordinator, and they lose Mike Elko to Texas A&M. We'll talk about that in a second.
We'll talk about Manny Diaz. This is what Duke does. They are petrified to bring in a rising star in the coach industry. They want to get a guy. They're moving on to other teams. And what's the point of having that priorities? So let's get Manny Diaz. Let's see his back record. The guy bounced from jobs to jobs. He got promised. Temple, he bombed. All these different Miami jobs, all these jobs he bombed on. And the reason why Duke hired him because we don't want someone that's actually going to stay here for however long we want, and then we fire him on his terms because I mean, otherwise, why have Rise and Upcomer when you have to go through a cycle over again? So I don't know if maybe this is going to work, but the thing is, they just didn't want to take that chance against of getting another college to benefit from one of their success stories. Enough said.
Exactly, yes. The James Madison Dukes, they lose Kurt Signetti to Indiana, and they bring in Bob Chesney from Holy Cross.
Well, that's interesting hard. I mean, James Madison, that's a team that had to get that bowl spot. I mean, they had to beg for it. Remember, they tried, they got denied, and people were going crazy on social media. Everyone whines on social media, Rick, but the thing is, redemption happened. There wasn't enough bowl spots. They got in the game, and Rick, I mean, won games against my team, Air Force, that I love, going back decades. I knew Air Force was going to win that game, and they won that game. And that game got me my win, my college football bowl was the most meaningless game one I ever won because of all that crazy transfer portal nonsense. Enough said.
Yeah, there you go. The Wyoming Cowboys, they lose Craig Bull to retirement, and they promote Jay Sawville, the defensive coordinator.
Smart move with that because, I mean, Craig Bull, I mean, the Arizona Bowl, that was one of my other games that I won with my bowl pool. Motivation, proof. I mean, the Arizona Bowl was one of the best bowl games of the year, bowl games entertainment, and it was on the CW, so even people that haven't rabbit ears can watch it, but it was an entertaining bowl game. The guy had success. Why not bring a guy along that's had success? And as far as, I mean, he did something that Coach K didn't do. He won his foul game, and he didn't. So, Wyoming, you're going to be a decent spot in the Mountain West. You'll compete, you'll win, you'll get bowl games. Believe me, Rick, we're going to see in Wyoming bowl games, a regular for a long time in the Mountain West. And wait for it, they might actually be in a Mountain West Conference Championship game in the future. Exactly. I said it first. Yeah,
there you go. Another team out west that looks like they made a very, very good hire. The New Mexico Lobos, they fired Danny Gonzalez, and they brought in Bronco Mendenhall. That's a home run hire.
Home run hire. Let's talk about Bronco Mendenhall. He spent decades in a place where Mormons are accepted, BYU. And then he went to Virginia, and he chased the money, and he bombed. And now he gets a chance to go back to area that he's a little bit familiar with. In New Mexico, a program where you've had very little success. Bob Davie came in there, won a little bit. The thing is, it's a situation where the guy has stability, recruiting. I mean, and it's also a situation where I get the impression that, if they get the bowl games and they win, he's not going to go anywhere. I don't see him getting another better job someplace else. No, I mean, this might be his last job. I don't see others. What's supposed going to want him? That's going to elevate him. I mean, I don't see it happen. But I think this might be home sweet home for Rocky Mendenhall for a long time. And New Mexico will be a team that makes the bowl game on a right. Maybe 3 out of 5 years. Let's see if I'm right. If I'm right, then I'm going to start playing Powerball tonight. Well,
there you go. And again, leave it to you. That's a perspective I never thought of before. Bronco Mendenhall going from one end of the spectrum of Mormon friendliness in Utah there to rural Virginia. You can't go from one extreme to the other more so than that if you're talking friendliness to Mormons. But Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders here, looking at this one, they stay with a guy who has in-state recruiting knowledge, Derek Mason, formerly of Vanderbilt, yes. And they go with, they have him replace Rick Stockstill, who was fired.
Derek Mason, interesting guy. He went to Vanderbilt, and let's say, Rick, academics, they're like, dude, you can't win in that place. Academics. So another guy that went to Vanderbilt, now he's at Penn State, and he won there, but believe me, when he wants money, he ran out the door. I mean, you can't win at Vanderbilt. You're lucky to get a bowl game once every 5 years. I mean, Vanderbilt's a program where, I guess the only thing you can do is if you win, if you beat Tennessee, you win. But we can't discuss that. We can't have that happen on your favorite team. But in general, Vanderbilt. Rick. Let's say bowl games with that SEC, with Oklahoma and Texas and everything else. I don't know. Maybe once every 10 years. Miracles gonna happen. I think once every 10 years they make a bowl game when the cards are right and they play the weaker teams. Otherwise, let's go get those college degrees because that's all they're gonna accomplish.
Well, yeah, like when you're at a school like Vanderbilt or Indiana or something like that, and Stanford, you have that 8-4 year. You jump at the jobs that come available. That's what happens. That's inevitably what ends up happening here, and that's part of the cycle that we're documenting here today. The UL Monroe Warhawks fired Terry Bowden. They bring in Brian Vincent from New Mexico, the offensive coordinator. I don't know jack about
Terry
this
Bowden, I think he's related to somebody we know, Bobby Bowden. Then we got And then we have the Clemson coach. I mean, Terry Brown's the nicest guy on the planet. And wasn't he over in your neck of the woods? I think Ohio?
Yeah, it didn't go so well at Akron.
What do you think about Mr. Terry Brown? Did you want him to? Did you want him to stay there forever and grow? And did you think? Would you have gone to a game just to see him coach? Your question.
Well, yeah, I think I was actually there at a game when he was the coach. I think I was watching my Bobcats there then, and we had our way with him, if I remember correctly. But I will tell you that it's a thing where it's not the first time that Akron's done that. Jerry Faust back in the day, the whole thing of like, oh, hey, we got a big name. We bought low on a big name. And then in neither instance did it work out.
Yeah, Terry Brown, you're a nice guy. Like I say, enjoy your retirement. I mean, it's golf. Do whatever you have fun, but don't ever coach again. Just go watch TV. But then again, or stream some TV. Just relax. If you have kids, grandkids, whatever you want to do, talk about your dad. Go around tours. Tell about how amazing your dad was. That might get you some money.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Getting whacked by Louisiana Monroe is a low point for anybody. Yeah, I think that's a sign to hang it up. One could also say getting whacked by UTEP might be just a half rung above. Dana Dimel had that happen. Scotty Walden comes in from Austin Peay.
Well, these are these guys where, God bless them, Rick. That's what FCS is for. You get a chance to, if you have success in FCS, you go to a small program. You want to know why, Rick? If you go to a small program, you have more chance of succeeding in that program and moving up. These guys, they go to FCS, they get success, they move to a small program, and they win. And if they can win at Austin and UTEP, other schools are going to call them. And especially in that area, if a Big 12 team bombs, we're calling you because we know you can recruit. So this guy is going to, if he does well, he'll be coaching a Big 12 team, I think, in the next 4 or 5 years, unless there's some crazy conference expansion. Please, I can't. My head was spinning if more keep moving around. Enough said.
Well, yeah, exactly. The Boise State Broncos, boy, this is a situation. Some people are real individualists. They got to do it their way. Most coaches at Boise State use the job as a springboard to another job. Andy Avalos, doing it his way, he got fired. So props to him for being an American original. Spencer Davidson gets promoted from being the defensive coordinator.
Interesting story about them. They were reeling. I mean, the thing was, this is what happened. This is kind of a weird situation with when team gets fired. Usually, when the interim coach comes in, they tank. But guess what he did? He elevated the team, got into the Mountain West Conference Championship. I mean, he did more than he had to, and then they play in the bowl game. And it just, the fact is, I mean, he elevated the team, and bowl games, it's almost to a point. Who cares? You can't give an interim coach a job whether he wins or loses, because you don't know what type of team he has. I mean, that game means nothing. What you do in the regular season, he proved himself, he elevated himself, and now he's in a situation where, I mean, he has a steady job, and there'll be a team that'll be a contender in Mountain West. And plus, Rick, I mean, I can't afford a flight to Boise, Idaho. Maybe you can one day. Let's do a road trip. Smurf turf.
There you go. One of my buddies, I keep saying the next time that our Bobcats are in the Potato Bowl game, we should go up there for it. Although there's a game where you'd be freezing your nards off watching your team play. Can
you eat French fries, or is that off your health list?
Well, they couldn't be fried in any oil with gluten because of my celiac disease. So yes.
I can imagine you explain that.
Yes.
They would shoot you, bro. Unless you were at Chick-fil-A, they'd be like, my pleasure. If Chick-fil-A, you can get that type of service. Not at a bowl game when it's freezing cold. So, Rick, that'd be a fun story if you ever go. The world would love to hear that version. That might be book version, lifetime movie version. Enough said.
Well, there you go. Yes, explaining my dietary restrictions to people squinting at me nervously.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Come on, there's always a person. This person, I'm using your health as a common.
Yes. Well, the only reason I can laugh about it is because my health is not bad. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, so it's all
Rick,
good.
I mean, you're the poster boy. You should do a book on how to combat this. I mean, believe me, man. I mean, we're standing a cause here, so someone's going to read it. Listen to this. Oh, Rick, you just so kind, and then they'll reach out to Rick. Help me, Rick. Well, email me, and I'll send you the right way. Enough said. Let's go on.
Well, that would be the first time that I've ever motored anybody through my level of physical fitness, but that would be something that I could enjoy. The Houston Cougars, this is one where they had high hopes for Dana Holgerson a couple of years ago, but it didn't work out. They fired him, and Willie Fritz comes in from Tulane. They have high hopes for him. My guess is it works out better than it did for Holgerson, but who knows?
Well, Holgerson is a guy, the guy just, he went to West Virginia. I I mean, didn't do that much. Then he goes to Houston. Oh, we're going to a bigger conference, so we get to do well. He bombed Houston. And the thing is, that's how a market you can win. I mean, the thing is, and that stadium, well, that's an interesting stadium, Rick. We'll discuss down. They're doing some renovations there that's forcing the UFL, United Football League Houston Roughnecks, to play at the Rice Stadium. So whatever's going on, I mean, the stadium's getting bigger and bigger, which is only going to help the Houston Cougars program. Where that might help really first. The thing is, if you have the better stadium, you get better recruits. The thing, you know how it is when you go to Oregon. Come on, I mean, look what goes on in that place. You're like you're gonna any recruit goes in is gonna faint with all those technologies they have. But the thing is, if you have a say our stadium, you build, that kind of helps one way and get people to, hey, let's hang around here.
Right. The San Diego State Aztecs, they lose Brady Hoke to retirement. Turned out you could go home again, or at least somewhat. He was somewhat successful the second time around. Sean Lewis comes over from Colorado, had been the offensive coordinator. A year after, he was ahead of the curve, Fran. He was ahead of the curve. He left Kent State as a head coach to be an offensive coordinator, which others are doing now, but gets a head coaching job a year later.
So I mean, Rick. So let me get straight. He coached Colorado. Let's get this straight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand this. Doesn't Coach Prime with the great ego and attitude, all that swing? Don't they think they're going to win 12 games and do that? Doesn't this guy want to hang around and say, "Hey, I can be on coach and get a bigger job"? Or does he realize at best they'll be 6-6, 7-5, sneak into a bowl game that every bowl game is he's begging for them to come? So smart move. I mean, Colorado's never going to get to the level that Coach Prime thinks it is, and that's my take. We'll discuss that on the next future show.
Well, there's a clip and save prediction. Very interesting. The Indiana Hoosiers, speaking of a program that's never going to get to a certain level, Tom Allen gets fired. Curt Cignetti, as we said before, comes in from James Madison. Good luck to you, sir.
I like that hire from James Madison. That's not the guy you elevate, you move on. They can be a decent team, maybe 7-8 wins. So the thing is, they'll do better with him, because I mean, the guy can coach. If you can win James Madison, Rick, you can win anywhere.
That's right. That is definitely true. One would have thought he could have held out for a better job than Indiana, but what do I know? But
it's Big Ten, and guess what, Rick? I mean, we don't know how much he's getting paid, but he's getting paid a lot more. And his wife probably says, "Honey, show me the money," and getting in Indiana. Enough said. That's
right. The landscape this year has been so volatile that there have been entire conferences where half of the conference lost their coach. And the conference I'm speaking of in particular is the Pac-12. Half of the teams in the Big 12, or the Pac-12, lost their coach. That would be Oregon Beavers. They lost Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. They bring in Trent Gray. They promote him as defensive coordinator, which he was last year. So this is a thing where I saw that the Pac-12 also changed commissioners here. So nothing like being the commissioner for two schools. And I cannot wait. One of the big games in the college football season next year will be the one in-conference game between Oregon State and Washington State.
Let's be honest, Rick. Who else could you afford him with that job? You don't know what the hell they're playing. I mean, come on, they basically begging, please, someone on this staff take that job. Come on, please, we'll give you a little bit of raise. I mean, it just they had no choice. And Oregon State, I mean, come on. I mean, we'll have to investigate. Does the Civil War still exist next year? If not, then we can't say that anymore. That's PC. But whatever they call it now, Oregon State, are they going to play next year? If not, then they're going to be even more relevant. I mean, if that's the case. But in general, Oregon State doesn't know. You don't know what island they're on, and so I think the island they're going to end up on is Mountain West. But like you say, I mean, unless someone thinks that the Pac-12 is still relevant, let's go get in the Mountain West team and blow up that conference. I don't see that happening. Mountain West isn't that stupid because the Pac-12 name means absolutely nothing. And the thing is, college football playoff, they're going to decide. There's no guarantee that if Pac-12 gets formed, that they'll make them an official sixth spot. Enough said. Yep.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they're going to be in with the other conferences here, and the one place Oregon State is never going to be at this point is on the island of relevancy. Hashtag SmackDown. The Syracuse Orange, the turnstile of failed head coaching. Dino Babers is fired. Fran Brown comes in. He was the defensive backs coach at Georgia. That ought to at least help with recruiting anyways.
Here's an interesting story about Fran Brown. Apparently he's in the local area and he recruits. The thing is, at Syracuse, you have to recruit. Otherwise, you're not going to get players here. And if you're never going to recruit, that's the only way you can win Syracuse. You got to get players out of nowhere. Build them up. And now with NIL, I mean, they can get a little. I think basketball players get more NIL than football. That's another story for itself. But it's a situation. Syracuse, you have that dome. AC, it's winnable because those teams aren't that good. So they're a team that if you get the coach, they can get wins. Maybe they'll be more of a they won't be a bottom feeder in that conference. I mean, I feel it depends. Also depends on schedule too. But I feel they can be a team that can at least get the bowl game. And the thing is, they get the bowl teams. They perform. The thing was. Bears didn't do that enough. I mean, his offense was fun, but the defense was a train wreck. And I think this guy can make him a little bit contented. But the thing is, they're never going to win AC championship. You heard it here first.
Well, true, yeah. That's not going out on a big limb, but I do agree with you. A team that's never going to win the Big Ten, the Northwestern Wildcats. Pat Fitzgerald fired with cause because that thing turned into a crap show. David Braun was the interim coach, and he was promoted to full-time.
Congrats to him. He went to a circus and all that stuff. All this crap. I mean, imagine being in a situation where you have a legendary coach everyone loves. I mean, hazing is terrible. I mean, we all know what went on behind. People judge. I'm not going to state what's going on. People judge me and you all the time without us knowing, Rick. But in general, I mean, the guy turned the program around. He kept stable. He won games. He kept things, from blowing up. I mean, if things could have been so much worse if they didn't perform. And plus, there's been some rumors about some stadium being built. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with this economy, but I mean, he provided stability, got them to a bowl game, and this is a situation where why rock the boat? He won. He succeeded. And the thing is, Rick, if the players want him there. That helps keep the job. That's something with the interim coaches. If the players love you, and most of them are younger, you'll keep them. Otherwise, guess what, Rick? In this situation, change the coach, they'll leave out the door. And we've seen that millions of times for, with college football programs. Enough said.
Absolutely. The Mississippi State Bulldogs fired Zach Arnott. They promote Jeff Levy, the offensive coordinator. This is a thing where, again, they were in a tough spot a year ago. The sad passing of Mike Leach. Very interesting that they stay in-house yet again. I understand them doing it in the immediate aftermath. You want to keep as much continuity as possible, but this is the whole thing where it's like, on the one hand, it's continuity. On the one hand, it's change. We'll see how that works out.
They're a good. They'll be fun to watch. They'll be a regular. They're the type of team that can win the SEC and get the bowl games. The thing is, Rick, here's a $50 million question. Can they beat Ole Miss on a regular? That's this game. I mean, that's the one. That's the one that Lane Kiffin. I love the guys afraid off the hook with his stuff. Ole Miss is a team that I see them in college football playoffs. That's a team that can creep in on the bottom and maybe cause some problems. But Mississippi State, they're a team that you got. I mean, they can win, but like I said, I'm not with these other teams. We'll have to find out how much of an impact Oklahoma and Texas come in. And believe me, right down the road when the AC deal gets done, the granted rights, the teams are joining the party. So we'll find out.
That is true. Michigan State, as we talked about before, they get Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. Speaking of fired with cause, Mel Tucker, he gone. So Jonathan Smith coming in, that is something where, again, they're going to be looking to get back to the level they were at with Mark D'Antonio. That's sort of the gold standard for the last couple of decades of their program. And, again, can they make it? Jonathan Smith at least gives them the best chance.
Well, here's a shocking question. I mean, this guy, the first coach, he had like one big year of success. Why did he throw so much money at him in the first place? Don't you have to earn an opportunity, Rick?
It was panic. Didn't want to lose.
Come on, you give him like $100 million, and then thankfully they got out of it because of something stupid he did. That's an example of. I mean, Rick, if you ever write a book, some of the most stupid things athletes done, you're gonna make a fortune. How stupid can you be to do that stupid stuff? I mean, just be professional, do your job, just do whatever you're doing. Come on. This is a holy grail. You be able to live the rest of your life. You be able to have a great life, and now you're embarrassed and humiliated. And not only that, he wasn't able to prove himself right, so he's not getting the money. So, and he's never going to coach again. I mean, maybe he'll be a coach where it might be to the point where it might be Art Briles exile, and he might have to. That's how bad it's going to be. I think that's how bad that this situation is, Rick.
I think so. Mel Tucker was somebody that got too much money thrown at him because the school panicked. James Franklin, although Penn State's going to be stuck with that one. Jimbo Fisher also, and that leads us to our next one, the Texas A&M Aggies. Jimbo Fisher fired, and they owe him a whole lot of money. Mike Elko comes in. This is one where it was a little bit of a debacle for them, at least perceptually, because it looked like they were going to bring up their Coach Stoops from Kentucky, and that fell apart at the last minute. Imagine getting snubbed by somebody that decides to stay at Kentucky. They go for Mike Elko at Duke. So again, we'll see. He's getting thrown into the deep end.
Here's my situation with this, Rick. This is the most screwed up world on this planet. I have to tell you, Rick, this is so crazy. He had like $70 million buyout. Who the hell gets that in this world? Come on, Rick. $72 million. God help us all. I mean, those boosters are nuts. They think they're going to win. They're not going to win Texas A&M. They're nuts. And his coach, I mean, Michael, you might as well elevate. I mean, you might as well take the money, but still, I mean, you're not going to win. You're not really going to get the. I'll make another prediction. They're not going to be a 12-team club. Never. I mean, in the next 10 years, they're not going to get to that level. These boosters can waste hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, and bankrupt the damn athletics. If it wasn't a TV contract, they'd be so screwed. But in general, Texas A&M, you're not going to win. Texas will beat you. Oklahoma will beat you. And the SEC, if it gets bigger, you're even more screwed. You might be 7-8 wins, playing a meaningless bowl game. And guess what? You boosted, you already have that. You're not going to do anything meaningful. Enough said.
Exactly. Now, for Jimbo Fisher, whose vision was to take over the SEC, to topple Alabama to become the predominant program there, that didn't happen. That'll never happen. But hey, one door closes, another door opens. Take that money, Jimbo Fisher, invest it, become a venture capitalist, turn that money into $1 billion, and that'll be the equivalent of becoming the top coach in the SEC. So go chase that.
One more question for a future Unsolved Mysteries episode. Will you ever be a head coach again? Your question. Or will you be on an island just drinking Mai Tais?
Well,
what do you think?
Here's the thing. My guess would probably be TV, because here's the thing. Like, why would you go coach at a school the level of whoever's going to hire you when you have all this money? Wouldn't you rather just take a TV gig and make some money and not have to work nearly as hard? So that would be my guess.
I'll say one guy that decided he wants redemption over money, Matt Rule. I give him credit. I mean, he bombed at Carolina, made a fortune, and now he's going to build up in Nebraska, where that'll be a future discussion. But they're going to be a team that's going to be the rise in Nebraska. I'll say that they're going to be a much better team over time, and they're going to be fun to watch. And when Nebraska's good and the heydays, they'll be fun to watch. There'll be some teams some head shaking teams in the Big Ten in future years. That'll be fun to talk about. Hopefully not your house, because otherwise you'll never have me on the guest of the show.
Well, there you go. But what's funny is that Nebraska is the kind of school at this point in time that has to get a reclamation guy. They don't see themselves that way. Their fans are still oblivious. They're still so pompous. They think it's the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they're that Nebraska team. They'll never be that Nebraska team.
But Rick, I'll be honest with you. I think they'll have at least one big year. I don't know when they'll have one big year that's going to get them in the college football playoff. I think that's going to. I think Lou's going to have the talent. I think it's going to happen. I mean, we'll see when it does. I mean, when all things fall in place, it all depends on schedule. But I think there's going to be 1 year they're going to sneak in this playoff, and then you say Fran's right again. Possible? Nah.
That would be an interesting prop bet. Is there ever a year that they sneak in as an 11 seed? We'll see if that ends up being the case. Speaking of Ohio State, as you did a second ago, Bill O'Brien had a cup of coffee there as offensive coordinator, but moves on to become the head coach at Boston College. He replaces Jeff Hafley, who is a Green Bay Packers assistant. So that is a situation where BC, they swing for Bill O'Brien. You hear that the Ohio State offensive coordinator position can be a springboard. Normally you have to at least coach a game there as an offensive coordinator before it's a springboard, but not in this case.
Oh, come on, Reagan. Bill O'Brien, come on. I mean, remember the Houston Texans disaster? Some of the worst trades in NFL history? Come on. I mean, Jeremy Tunsil was really worth having him for that. It's just some of the dumbass, I can't say that on the internet.
Yeah, no, you can.
Some of the worst moves of all time. And then he goes to the Patriots. Oh, Bill, give me a job. Let me help you out. And then he goes out. It's just, the thing is, Boston College, sorry. I mean, you're not relevant. The Red Sox are relevant. The Patriots will be. I don't know. That's another topic. But the Bruins. But I mean, as far as them, they're not. Boston College, they'll maybe 6, 7, 5. Then they're going to be like a bottom feeder of the ACC, because I can't see them competing much. But they'll play some meaningless bowl games. One of them will be hopefully some crazy ass sponsorship game that we'll discuss.
Exactly. Bill O'Brien going to coaching purgatory. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I've never been a Bill O'Brien guy. Fake tough guy. That's one of the profiles I hate the most in sports, is the fake tough guy. He's the poster child for that. Good luck going 6-6 or 5-7.
Let's see how he likes playing a Boston College game in November in freezing cold. I don't think he's going to win. I mean, he might be one of those guys where unless he better be on his best behavior, Rick. In a couple of years, he'll be gone. They're not going to believe it. I get the impression with his track record, if he doesn't, they're not going to be patient with him. All coaches are not. New coaches he'll be gone in a couple years if they don't win.
That's right. South Alabama, they fired Kane Womack, and they promote the offensive coordinator there, Major Applewhite, who always, I would say back in the day, always was a better quarterback than Chris Sims. And unlike Chris Sims, he has a head coaching job now.
Major Applewhite, isn't that? Everyone loved that name in college. That's one name I never forgot. I don't think about college. That's one of my most popular college football quarterback names. Major Applewhite recruiting. I mean, he's the guy where, guess what? That's the perfect place where you get your job, get your experience, and then another team knocks. Wherever it is, get the hell out of there. A couple years, go someplace else. That's a job where they're going to give you a prompt thing. But these coaches moves left and right. There's going to be opportunities left and right.
I think so.
So he'll be at another school in a couple years. If all these predictions come true, Rick, I'm going to retire soon. Come on, let's go.
There you go. You'll be able to retire off of your successful predictions. The Buffalo Bulls fire Maurice Lingus, and they bring in Pete Lembo. This is not historically a head coaching catapult, the position of South Carolina special teams coordinator, but it was in this instance.
One thing is, with Buffalo, it's a program where, I mean, they're in the MAC. They get that type of situation. They get the bowl games, they're fine. I mean, and Rick, you might be going to one of those in Detroit. I mean, but the thing is, they're a type of situation. They've had success. Look at wasn't there a good coach that did an amazing job in Kansas? Come on, the guy went and elevated. Now Kansas is a situation where that's a program you stay at and be successful. These other coaches, they will leave more money. Like the Buffalo coach was amazing what he did at Kansas. I mean, that's the guy charged program in history and got him to a bowl game. So Buffalo's a program where, I mean, you might as well as be happy getting the bowl games, be on national TV and getting that bowl swig. And as far as South Carolina guys are concerned, you're in the SEC, you want to get out of there. The defense, you can't defend in the SEC. You can do a very job playing defense in the MAC.
Yes, that's true. Very few schools go through a situation where they lose their head coach to another school, but probably land on their feet better than they did before. I would argue that may have happened with San Jose State. They lose Brent Brennan to Arizona. After tenure, it was like, okay, but nothing spectacular. And Ken Niumatalolo comes in. He had a pretty good stint at Navy, proved himself pretty good there. I think there's the chance the San Jose State has a net gain from this situation.
Rick, this might be another trial on that situation. I mean, is he going to run the triple option out there? The triple option in the West Coast? I mean, that's going to be one of those teams where I'm going to want to watch them play to run the wishbone. They have an Air Force. That'll be a fun game to watch. There'll be about 1,000 yards rushing in that game and no passing yards. But like I said, San Jose State. I mean, program will. I mean, I think they'll be better because he runs the offense. He does well, and the team will at least be. They have that offense that can run. The thing is with wishbone, you can recruit. Think of that movie with the Marshall. They had this type of offense. You get the players and you have success. So this is a situation where they'll win more than they lose, and they'll get the bowl game. And then Ken Niumatalolo, this will be his lifetime job. He's not going anyplace else. He's not going to rock the boat and go anyplace else.
I would agree with that. Now, the opposite of this situation would be Arizona, because they're the ones bringing in Brent Brennan, and they lose Jen Fish to Washington. That is a tough thing for the Arizona Wildcats, who had a great year, but have got to be sitting there going, what happens now?
I don't blame the guy's amazing. The guy what he did in Arizona was amazing. And plus, he was an NFL coach. The thing is, that's the guy you want. That these NFL coaches have the backgrounds and all that stuff. And with Washington, where you're recruiting and now you're in the Big Ten, it's a home run hire for him. He's the guy that can get them to a high level. The guy's had success. The guy has history. The guy has I don't know. Rick, does the Bill Belichick reference catch anywhere in life?
No.
That's up to you to decide. But no, in general, I mean, the thing is, when he do his coaching hires, he talk to everybody, Rick. And I'm sure the right people said this guy is the guy that gets to the next level. And I think Washington will be a good team. It's just kind of weird how this Big Ten is going to play out. All these teams and stuff. They'll be good. Not as good as last year. I don't think they'll be in a 12-team club this year. I think the Big Ten teams will make it, and they will be home at a bowl game someplace.
Yes, and so now we work our way up to the three big coaching changes here. Two of them in the Big Ten, albeit one team that is a newcomer to the Big Ten, and the two teams that played for the national championship here very recently, and the one school having to replace the coach of the 21st century in college football. We start with Washington. and the way that this whole daisy chain is working itself out. So Arizona loses Jedd Fisch. He ends up in Washington. Why does he end up there? Because Kalen DeBoer gets hired away to go to Alabama. So it's a thing where when you're coming off of a national championship game and you're at a high water mark and you're feeling great about things, and then you lose your coach, and it's like, oh, crap. I mean, you'd have to say they landed on their feet as well as they possibly could have. Are they going to be right where they were last year? No. But at least they got a guy who can come in and potentially coach to the level and recruit to the level of Kalen DeBoer.
I mean, you get a guy, they got this 14 college football playoff, they'll be good, but I guarantee you, Rick, there's some SEC teams saying, we can get on top again. I guarantee you some of these teams, like, we can be the guy that's going to jump them. It's not going to be Auburn because they always hire a terrible coach. That'll be for the next show. But there'll be teams that, there'll be teams like, like Oklahoma, Oklahoma thinks Texas thinks they will, but we'll see. But there's teams that, in the SEC that, Ole Miss might be a team like Lane Kiffin. Hey, we can beat you guys. But, I mean, the thing is, with recruiting and everything else, Alabama will be a regular in the playoff. I don't see that happening, but the thing is, it wouldn't shock me if some of the team gets top of the party. Georgia's going to get their redemption and be that as well. But it wouldn't shock me if a team besides Alabama and Georgia, someone else wins the SEC championship. I think that's going to happen. Very
interesting. Yeah, Alabama, again, you talk about a team that loses a legendary coach, but they landed on their feet as well as they possibly could have, I think. Nick Saban, of course, retiring. Kalen DeBoer goes there. And it's very interesting. I thought it was going to be Dan Lanning. I thought it was going to be another coach from the Pacific Northwest. But
Rick, come on. Look what he has in Oregon. Come on, that's the home run. Come on, he's a big man out there. I mean, and eventually when Oregon State in the conference, come on. That's why rock the boat? When you have stability, you have lots of money, and you have success, and you're going to get even more opportunities going in the Big Ten. Smart move. Don't put yourself in the SEC because it could have been another Jimbo Fisher situation. If you didn't get to the highest level, you're out the door.
Well, that's true, yeah, and it's a situation where high risk, high reward. I mean, Alabama is probably the most decorated job in the country because Saban restored it to that level. But yeah, Lanning was able to leverage a lot of money out of Oregon to stay there, and he's going to have the NIL.
But at the same point, Rick, I mean, as you see in the past, look at these legendary coaches get replaced by guys. It's such a struggle. I mean, some of these coaches. I mean, look at the guys that get replaced. And the legendary coaches, you don't want to follow that guy.
Well, and that's the thing. Bill Curry followed Bear Bryant back in the 80s and didn't do well and got bounced out of there. But Bill Curry was a good coach, and that's where the saying started to come in. You don't want to be the guy that replaces the guy. You want to be the guy that replaces the guy who replaced the guy. So I think Kalen DeBoer can break that cycle. But losing all these guys in the portal immediately, the stampede, that's not going to help him.
It's not going to help him. The thing is, they'll be good. I mean, they'll be trophy playoff. I'll guarantee you that. I mean, and if I'm wrong about that, I'll retire from your podcast. Come on, but they'll be trophy playoff next year, definitely.
He has a soft spot in my heart because with his background at the lower levels of coaching, being a head coach at the lower subdivisions, Kalen DeBoer reminds me a little bit of the career path of Jim Tressel, and I'm a big Jim Tressel guy. So I would never say rooting for Alabama because that's like rooting for the New York Yankees or anyone else like that. But, I mean, Kalen DeBoer, personally, I wish him the best.
One thing, Rick, I love to see Auburn beat these guys at least once every couple years. I mean, I want Auburn to get back on top. I liked them when it was Bo Jackson, Pat Tie-Dye. I love to see Auburn get a little bit better because they can recruit, they can win, but I love to see Auburn beat Alabama eventually. I'd love to see Auburn beat Alabama one of these years, just ruin their season. I mean, one of these days is going to happen. I don't know when, but that's another prediction down the road.
Auburn intermittently over the past 20 years or so, they'll go through. They'll have a year or two at a time when they're on par or close to on par with Alabama, and they always seem to win the Iron Bowl whenever that's the case. So it could very well happen.
Cam Newton. That's another situation where he did his thing. He was an egomaniac with the Carolina Panthers when they got embarrassed by the Broncos. He was a crybaby. He didn't say a word at the press conference. I mean, Cam Newton. That's another story for another day.
Well, yeah, and that's where. By the way, of the other many changes from here on in, we'll be watching the Iron Bowl on ABC from here on in. That is going to be a lot different as the SEC on CBS is no more. And
only I will say, Rick, go over and tire because let's see if I give them a boost and this happens. Then, man, then my ego will be even bigger than it is now.
Well, there you go. And what's going to be in that time slot on CBS? The Big Ten. And what's a team that's going to be in that time slot an awful lot? The Michigan Wolverines. They replaced Jim Harbaugh as his endless flirtations with the NFL end up in him going to the overrated LA Chargers. Good luck with the Stars and Scrubs franchise of the AFC West. Sharon Moore gets promoted to the offensive coordinator. And again, head coaching experience, not so much, but a smart move in as much as they keep the stampede from happening, at least thus far, in the transfer portal. What's hilarious is, who did Michigan imitate in this regard in promoting a guy with thin head coaching experience into that spot there? Ohio State with Ryan Day. And
let's get to Michigan first. I mean, I think you watch TV a lot. Remember that emotional plea when Harbaugh was suspended and that whole tirade? That went epic. And when I'm talking to you on the phone, is that the coach that said that? And you're like, yes. I don't know why they hired him. He loves the team. I mean, you want a guy that's passionate in the players. And that situation where I guarantee you, Rick, every single player wanted him on board. If he didn't hire in-house, they would have another Alabama situation, and they would not have recovered. Alabama could have. But if they went out-of-house, they would have been so screwed, Rick. And Ohio State would beat them even more every year.
Yes, that's true. And again, Harbaugh going to the Chargers, which is a team that's way over the salary cap for next year, has holes up and down the roster. I've been saying they're a Stars and Scrubs team for years now. They finally showed it this past season here. So everybody thinks that just because he's got the QB with the Chargers there, that everything's going to be nothing but wine and roses out there on the West
Rick,
Coast.
I mean, I have a little earth-shattering news for you.
Yeah.
The problem is with the NFL, once you pay a quarterback, you can't pay anyone else. And the thing is, this guy's making lots of money. Very rarely do you get a quarterback that can win it. And some guy won it, with Kansas City and some interesting tight end and some singer that had a lot of fun where guys were bugging out every time they saw this person. I can't mention him anymore because I made a promise on Facebook not to mention this person anymore. But in general, Rick, I mean, just because you have a quarterback doesn't mean anything. I mean, NFL teams have a quarterback, but how many of them win? Dan Marino, what do you win? Come on, think of one of these days we're gonna do an NFL podcast and blow people out of the water. But it doesn't. I think there'll be a playoff team. I can't see them getting a Super Bowl. If they do, then come on, Rick. Do you think you see the Chargers ever getting to a Super Bowl 5 years from now? Let's hear the master of you in that Big Ten country. Do you see the Chargers getting a Super Bowl?
I do not. And here's the thing: is that and I don't. What I'm gonna say sounds sort of like supernatural, and I don't believe in the application of such to football, but it's a thing where some franchises never change their patterns. As far as Justin Herbert and having a cap on how far he goes in the playoffs, couldn't we say the same thing about Phillip Rivers? Couldn't we say the same thing about Dan Fouts? This has been the history of this team over a period of time. Stan Humphries is the only one that ever took him to a Super Bowl, Fran, for gosh sake.
Well, Rick, I'll make a deal with you. You have me on for college football. I'd love to get in the NFL. I'm the main man. I mean, that's a discussion we'll figure out. I'll do some negotiating, but I wouldn't mind doing a little NFL stuff as well. That's unless you have other guests that
Fran,
have more knowledge than I do. That'll be a fun discussion.
Let me tell you something, Fran. We have a deep bench in the FDH Lounge when it comes to the NFL, but you're on it now. You're on my deep bench, and we will do this. We'll work you into the rotation.
Oh, thank you. Especially, I cried at the 5 seconds of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, especially I'm a Jets fan. I'll be the Jets insider and spoof on them. Come on.
Fran,
like I say, I wouldn't mind the Jets situation, that'll be fun. But see what's happening. We're giving health awareness. I'm getting more opportunities, man. The show's off the hook. If everyone listens to it, like, who are these people? The more you listen to us, you're going to love us. Enough said.
Fran, before we get to our closing note from the land of 1,000 lakes, I will mention this here. Not to twist the knife on you or anything like this, but of course Matt Snell was the first player in New York Jets history to wear a Jets uniform and score in the Super Bowl in the same season. Mecole Hardman becomes the second. How did that feel?
Well, that's interesting. And Joe Namath, as much as I love him, I mean, he didn't really do much to deserve the Hall of Fame thing. That's my take on that, Rick. I mean, he legendary, he won a Super Bowl, but I hate to say it, down the road, he did something that I wasn't, my jaw dropped. Him and Susie Cole professing his, I mean, that's a situation where wherever had him around should be fired. That situation, we'll talk about that on our next NFL podcast. But
there you go.
Joe Namath is a guy that, I mean, come on, I mean, just shut up. When you train, come on, I mean, I like the guy. He won. He had some success, but after he left the Jets, he tanked. And Broadway Joe, I mean, thanks to your Jets Super Bowl, you were set for life. Other than that, I mean, I'm glad you have your life together, but if you drink too much, just keep your mouth shut and don't be on national TV.
Well, that's what happens when you think you always got to live up to the Broadway Joe image.
I just want to kiss you. I'm blaming you, Rick. If a girl said that to you, like, depends on who it is, but if it's all serious, fine, Rick. I mean, and that's. I mean, Susie Colbert must have been humiliated. I mean, imagine if she was married, her husband would probably want to shoot him. That'll be a fun discussion down the road.
How did he think that one was going to go? But anyway.
I just want to kiss you. I'm like,
yeah.
And the thing is, Rick, once that happens, it goes viral. Everybody knows that. And the thing is, once you know that, decades of people are going to read that stuff. I mean, people, and if it's on Wikipedia, Rick, everybody's going to read it forever.
And I hate to say it, that's now in the first line of his obituary. That displaces guaranteeing winning the Super Bowl. So, way to blow it all up in 1 minute, buddy. But as far as it goes with, as I said, our tease from the land of 1,000 lakes here, something you called to my attention, PJ Fleck with Minnesota. I was rooting at the bowl game in Detroit. I was rooting for the Bowling Green Falcons, my mom's school. They were not able to win against Minnesota in the game here. But the Bowling Green side was not the only ones that were disappointed, because P.J. Fleck, who did have a bowl bonus in his contract, evidently, Fran, as you pointed out to me, that is dependent on the team being eligible for the bowl. They were 5-7. They made it on a waiver because there weren't enough 6-6 teams, which tells you all you need to know about the bowl system. But anyways, because they made it in on a waiver, P.J. Fleck, on a technicality, does not collect his bonus. Boo-hoo.
Well, but the good news is the other coach does in that game. I mean, they have to give it to somebody, but long story short, Rick, let me see. You're making $6 million, and the sad thing is, people with money still want more money. These people, they're nuts. Like, oh, honey, get that bowl win so I can have a piece of furniture. Some people with money are never satisfied. We know how that works.
Right.
Even when people die, I mean, they have money and they still want more money. It's just crazy. That's how crazy world we live in. I mean, I found it funny because I never knew that either. I thought there was some win bonus, but I never thought even if you're 5-7, when you okay. Oh, you can't get $30,000. Oh no, what are you gonna do? You can't buy that car for you can't do about $30,000 when you're making $6 million. Oh man, inflation is that bad, but still, man, come on. You can. I think the boat guy can survive that. He just has to do a couple motivational speeches and lectures, and he'll get that money on the side. He'll survive. And Minnesota's program, well, they'll make bowl games, but it seems like they love playing them. Detroit Bowl. They love to have them there, but they'll be a bowl contender. But Greg, come on, man. I mean, I love the story, the road boat mentality, Western Michigan, all that stuff. College game day was there, and Minnesota as well. But I mean, Rick, with these teams, the Big Ten, they'll 6, 7, 5, and I can't see them doing much more. I mean, they don't have the talent, they don't have the recruiting, and they'll be fine. They'll get the games and have a couple of surprises, but not this significant.
That's right, and just another goofy situation here as far as not enough teams to be able to make the bowl games that are out there. And one would think that would only continue to be the case now that the college football playoff is going to siphon off more teams into that. The 12-team playoff is coming next year. The final switch between the broadcast networks here, the SEC fully transitioning to Disney, which opens up the spot at 3:30 for the Big Ten on CBS. And so the new landscape is here in all its glory, and it will be without Nick Saban, it will be without Jim Harbaugh, and of course NIL and the transfer portal, big reasons for things having to do with that. So the first half of the 2020s, I'll just leave you with this, Fran, the first half of the 2020s is a time of more change than maybe the last 2 or 3 decades put together in college football, if not longer.
Well, now it's changed so much with NIL. I mean, it's ruined college football, Rick. I'm so embarrassed and humiliated. I get players deserve money, but the thing is, look, you deserve money, but come on, you're throwing money left and right. It's such a terrible thing. All because of a stupid video game with the name. That's what started this crap. And the thing was, you could at least give fans that game. Fans were missing, and they didn't get the game this year, but still, I mean, come on, they could have had. Fans love that EA. I love that EA Sports, that game. I love playing Nebraska wishbone teams and weather, and I love those games where when you're playing in those pro teams, the device is vibrating. I mean, you deprived fans for decades of something people love. I mean, you can play any team you want. You can, and now with 12-team playoff, that game's going to be more fun to play. But still, I mean, as far as like naming his license, as far as, I mean, you get money, but the thing is, here's how I feel. I would say 10 years. I mean, come on, you go to school for education. I say 10 years. If you don't graduate with 10 years, believe me, you have to be further enough along where it's not going to take years to finish your degree. But if you don't, you have to give it back. If that's the case, then you have to declare bankruptcy or family for loans. But still, I mean, if you want to be the guy that gets the money, you have to get your education, and you have to get the money. Then don't spend it. Be responsible. As far as that's concerned, as far as the transfer thing with the quarterbacks, like you said, once that's it. It's a joke, absolute joke that every year it's like four or five quarterbacks, four years of transfers. And one guy I spoke to was killing them now. High school recruiting is less because, as far as it's not as significant because all these teams are going after the transfer portal, these guys, the coach guys. So now high school kids are getting underlooked, and those guys aren't getting opportunities because these teams want better, talented players. So it's a shame it's working this way, right? Because the high school kids deserve a chance to get opportunities to grow. And now some of these high school kids may not get opportunities because it's stupid NIL. Enough said.
There you go. Well, always a pleasure having you on, Fran, and I look forward to the next time we do this, and now subsequently with the NFL as well. Thank you, as always, Fran Stuchbury.
Absolute pleasure, Rick, and stay tuned for more exciting showing us. Thank you.
Very good. The awesome Fran Stuchbury from OurSportsCentral. Always a pleasure, and great to have you on, buddy, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in to FDH Lounge Mini Episode 1713.